just a little bit.
Okay. Let's just go back to the beginning. We'll go a little slow just so we can get what's the 5 template kind of screw up a little bit. Or just throwing people off. The thing when I was looking at vegetarian, I don't know what words we were talking about. But I'll take it a little bit slower and then just try and get that in. So I'll try. Something like that. Right? Yeah? You guys? Can you help me out? Okay, ready? All right, we're trying to listen. All right. Okay. Want to try again?
Your slow tempo actually slowed down.
There it goes. Okay, let's try again. Let's try this again. Do it a little slower. Okay, cool. Ready to pick it up? Yeah?
Let's hope so.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So yeah.
When you have tempo changes like this, what is your process for deciding? Like, what's the interpretive process you go through to figure out how these tempo changes work? Like, what do you do? I mean, I see a retard, I see a molto retard, I see an odd tempo. Like, what does all that mean?
Every time I just ask him what we should do to figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel like we should listen to it.
Okay, fine. What if that's not an option? Man? This is a premiere. The premiere didn't work by Haydn or by Brahms.
I don't know. I feel like you have to look at the context that's in. So this is kind of like a finale.
Yeah.
So and seeing how so that it's retardando and then a molto retardando.
Yep.
So just seeing how it's that kind of finality to
Yep.
how it should sound.
Yep. That's good.
Kind of considering how it should sound within the context of the work.
Okay, good. So then, how does that then translate to something salient for you? Like, how does this work then?
Well, if it was in the middle of the work, it might be just slowing down as as a means to getting somewhere else. But this is as a means to getting to the end.
Okay.
So it should be epic. That's kind of my word.
Epic's good. Yeah.
I was gonna ask for the molto retardando. Should we subdivide that? Do you think it gets that slow?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
I do think it gets that stuff. Yeah.
I was also considering that while I was doing it. So that probably was not.
Yeah, that's not a good headspace to be in. Should I be doing it this way while I'm doing it a different way? Right. So when you have a tempo change, a series of tempo changes like this, where that's great. I start with the context, right? That's all kind of still vague.
Yep.
right? The first bit of like specificity you get here is where do you start, and then do you have anything else that's concrete to go off of, right? So you know what tempo you're starting, basically, right?
Yep.
And then you have slow down a lot. So, okay, we don't really know what that means yet. What does the a tempo refer to?
Going back to.
Right, back to the initial tempo.
Yep.
Okay, so those are the two concrete things we have. We have our first tempo, and then we know that somehow out of these eighth notes, we then have to get back to. Okay, so first thing for you is your a tempo is too slow.
Okay.
Right, so at the very end, you need to, if you
Come
want
back
to be
to
more epic, be more epic.
Okay.
Okay,
I
now.
was gonna ask, how do we roll back into it? Like when you're, you know, you're slowing down. How do you come into the back of the prep?
Yeah, that's a great question. That does pose a very real problem, right? So what are some of our solutions?
Reprepping it.
Sorry?
Reprepping it.
Reprepping it, sure. So like actually stopping and reprepping. That could be an option, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And from this era, that would be like a definite maybe. You know, like sort of thing in the 19th century you might do. But they also did have they did write caesura in music at that point, so maybe not. It's a great option. Yeah.
So I feel like you can't just go like, shoot, you know,
Right.
going fast right back in. How do you like get them ready?
Yeah. Okay, Jimmy.
I guess one thing that jumps into my mind immediately is trying to do it mathematically. So like dropping down to literally half tempo and conducting your eighth note at the a tempo.
Yep.
So that your eighth note is the prep for the a tempo. You're just going from conducting an eighth pattern to conducting a four pattern.
And that's what I did. Yeah. So you've got your first tempo, and then it tells you to slow down, and you're slowing down playing sextuplets.
Yep.
And then you have slow down a lot, doing triplets and then eighth notes. And at the end of the molto writ, I have arrived at halftime. So then my a tempo is just eighth note at the end of the retard equals quarter note
Yeah.
in the a tempo, right? So that solves one problem.
Mhm.
What's another problem that is created now?
By prepping it with the eighth note.
By deciding, not that specifically, but by deciding that's how the rallentando is going to work.
You have a very specific like tempo you have to be at that subdivision.
Yep. There's another problem. Let's see if we can find it. Why don't you start, Lucas, at measure like 15?
Okay. Also, should I like conduct the sextuplets when I'm slowing down, like go into like compound or anything?
Say that again.
Because those, never mind, I don't know. But like, never mind. Ask me.
The subdivision that you're showing will
Yep.
change.
Okay, so that will change, okay.
Yeah, at this tempo, it's not going to be hugely noticeable.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so,
Sounds good. Okay, so 15.
yeah, 15. So the last bar of the sforzando.
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, so this is where you ended.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Where do you switch into 8?
Don't know. Well, like, did you start right at the molto ritardando, or?
That's a question.
I was thinking when I was in mid of conducting again, right, like the second measure of molto ritardando.
Okay.
I would start on beat 3 because that's when the eighth
Right. Yes, I think the second part of that is right. The first part, I don't switch in the middle of the bar. I switch, just like Lucas said, on the next downbeat. And the reason is the same reason that you said you shouldn't be conducting eighth notes while you're playing triplets, is if you're conducting triplets in a multi-retard, and then you are both switching the tempo, you're switching the subdivision, and you're switching the rhythmic value. That's too many changes all at once. Okay, so I go from right? So establish your tempo, slow it down, establish your triplets, establish the eighth notes, slow them down, switch to eighth, new tempo.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do it. 15 again?
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
15.
Yeah, that's better. I actually probably slow down, maybe beyond.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you did the snap, and
Yep.
is that okay?
And
you
then
just come back
I
in.
go faster. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, right. And the only reason is, for me, if you go right into yup, bop, 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 dagga, 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 that doesn't feel finale-y.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that new prep can be in the new tempo, but
Okay.
again, it's still part of the eighth note.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Now put it in context. Do the whole thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like that last eighth note, like I caught him off guard.
Yep.
Did I shoot forward on that too much?
I actually think that was okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's okay.
Okay.
What you didn't do though is the tempo you prepped, you then slowed down.
At the end there?
Yeah, at the
Okay.
very end. So if you're going to prep that new tempo, I mean, especially in a context like this, and go, there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're off and running.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll throw one wrench in the works. I don't expect you to do this because it doesn't make sense out of context. Okay, but just so you know, like, just for your future, whatever. I actually start this in 2 because, and then again, it doesn't make sense just as the ending. If you put it in context of the rest of the movement, it's in 2. Okay. So then at the fortissimo on the second page, ba 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 da ba da 1 2 ba ba da ba ba da 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 into 4, the bar before the retard. By switching into 4, it sort of sets up the retard. Okay? But you don't switch into 4 when they switch their rhythm. That's a mistake I made the first time I conducted this piece. It feels like you should switch into 4 when you start the retard, right? Honestly, it can work, but I don't recommend it. Okay? I switch into 4 the bar before that. That sets up the retard. And then in the molto rit, yup, ba 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 beam, bom, 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 beam, bom, 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 beam, bom, bom, bom. I kind of have this like part of the molto rit where I'm called melding. I know we talked about it before, but I'm doing this sort of in 4, sort of in 8. Yup, ba 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 beam, ba bum bum beam, bum beam, bum 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 beam, bum bum. So my arm is moving in 4, and the wrist is moving in 8. And then I go fully in 8 again. Yeah. I mean, don't overthink it. That's the solution that I have come to for this, for me. But you all, out of context, starting at 2 doesn't make sense. So start at 4, and then do whenever we do this. Good. Who's next? I really want someone to do more about today.
I guess I can do it now.
Okay, Noah. Again, for this one, you need to know what you want in this movement at the end here. Okay, you will all have different solutions.
Sorry.
There wasn't a tempo there. Start again. I saw kind of one tempo in your body, one tempo
And then
in your
I
arm.
was following them.
E major. Okay, what's the mood in the first 2 bars? What are you trying to show in the first 2 bars?
I would say it's almost like a precursor into like the next bar, so kind of eerie.
Okay. Yeah, eerie is good. Yeah, how do you show eerie, especially at 152?
I think I want it to be, because I want the notes to be more together,
Yep.
like more of a legato gesture. I think it's like with the allegro.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you definitely were showing marcato.
Yeah.
So, conduct faster.
Okay.
Okay, better, yeah. What are you trying to get with your left hand?
Good question.
Okay.
I think I'm trying, well, because with this one, I don't know if I should show, because I know at like, when I do the retard, like I want to like show like, that I want those like longer,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the up tempo, I'll drop my hand, I just have it up. I still don't know what I want to do at the beginning of my hand. I don't know if it's better for me to prep like this still, or if it's better for me to just prep like this.
Okay. Who knows what comes right before this? Jimmy, what comes
Few bars of the same thing.
What's that?
It's the,
Yeah.
so there's like this grand gesture, and then this is this bum bum, da 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 dum dum, da 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 dum dum, da 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 da, and just goes down.
Yep.
All the way through the orchestra.
Yep, so it's like 12 bars or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so put yourself in a little bit more of that headspace, right? Sing the first couple bars before this, and then start. Okay, fine. The odd tempo wasn't quite together.
Okay.
Now, that need to be rehearsed, or is that just a gesture thing?
I think it is a gesture thing.
Okay.
Can we start 2 bars before the up tempo?
Okay, better. Yep, better. There's a lot kind of going on in your prep, right? That your body's getting involved and everything. It's a lot simpler than that. The bar before the up tempo, what happens on beat 4?
The bar before the up tempo, what
Yep.
was that before?
Yep.
And just half nothing, just the rest.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing happens on beat 4. Ba, ba. I show beat 3, and then beat 4 is my prep in the new tempo. Ba, 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 da, dee, da, 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 da. I stop on 3, 4, 1.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to do. I don't know if that's-
Doesn't work as well if there's something happening on beat 4. That doesn't work. But in this case, there's nothing happening, so just stop.
Okay. Bar before up tempo?
Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't show the cut quite like that. You either just beat time or show the cut into one. Bump,
See, yeah.
bump, beep, bump. You could also just stop. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Go start now. Maybe you go. I want to see you do this. can work like that. Be careful that you prep the new tempo going into one,
Okay.
not just coming away from one. Because you sort of, it almost looked like you were trying to mess with them.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And they caught you. It was great. It actually can work, but it's not recommended.
Okay.
Okay. Good. You have a little bit of emotion this way.
Okay.
It's kind of obscuring the beat. Here, because there are so many changes, the thing your ensemble needs, anytime you have a context like this, is for you to know exactly what you want and to show it as clearly as possible. Right? With the tempo changes, they need to know that you have a specific tempo in mind and that all you're showing is now you play. Right? Not to say there's not music, I don't mean that, but try to remove any extraneous anything. Okay? So instead of like this kind of motion, just right here in the middle. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I like your beginning. Explain to me what's going on starting at 7.
At 7, I feel like instead of treating 7 as more of an odd tempo, I treat it as a shell. Kind of reaching a grand gesture, and then it slows down almost immediately. Like it gets almost too fast, and then you have to pull it back for that 2 bars.
Yeah. What tells you that?
I suppose just all the time that I've spent with the piece.
Okay.
Through doing different projects with it, listening to it, and playing it.
You do get another clue.
All of the 8th notes.
Nope.
No,
What does meno mean?
I honestly don't know.
What does meno mean? Anybody? Less. It just means less, right? Like, this is not unusual. You'll see something meno or mezzo. What the heck does that mean? You have to figure out what it means. I think your answer is correct. I think it's saying a tempo and then less. A tempo fast and then meno means slower. If there was no dynamic indication there, you might immediately think maybe it means softer, and that would be logical. But you've got crescendo into fortissimo with a meno.
Yeah.
So the meno is probably tells you slower. Okay? Then what happens after that?
It slows down dramatically.
Yep.
And on keyboards, it feels really awkward because there's not as much suspension
Yep.
in the notes. Those are block chords in the entire orchestra.
Yep.
So it just really holds out and
Yep.
lasts forever for those 2 bars.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 2 bars is just E major.
Yep.
2 bars. Nothing else happens. So that's kind of a little bit quicker to get that to go by to get into 15, where you're kind of getting this battle between the major and minor,
Good.
and then switching to the quarter notes that last all the way up until you're having just huge block chord hits on measure 1 or on beat 1. At the end of and there's no tempo change between that. And the whole symphony ends with just bum, bum, and if you're going too slow there, those beats feel too far apart.
Right.
So you have to I almost take it faster than a tempo.
Yep. I
Just to
agree.
get through it,
Mhm.
to really give it that final push to the end.
So you mentioned it, but the fortissimo a tempo, all that's happening is 2 bars of a block chord. Why a tempo?
So that you're not sitting there forever.
Yeah, that's the only reason. I'm convinced. It's the only reason for it. There's no tempo happening, right? E, bum, bum. That doesn't make any sense, right? He's just telling you to get through it faster. In this case, then don't make such a big thing of it, right? You don't need to be conducting as though there's a drum line playing,
Okay.
right? Bum, bum, bum. And then you want to draw their attention to the tempo change at the poco meno mosso.
Okay.
Okay? Start again.
From the top.
From the beginning, yeah. here. No, McKay, did you do Beethoven 5 yet?
Not.
Great. Go to it. Starting 2.
Yeah, there was. Lost control of that immediately.
Yeah. Is it, what happened?
Oh, I'm tired.
Yeah, you tend to rush.
Okay.
Stay marcato. If they're playing marcato, conduct marcato. Yeah.
Okay.
Marcato, marcato. Pretty good. You bounce on your knees, and that takes away from your accelerata a little bit. It's funny. If I was to see that, I wouldn't think the accelerata would work. But actually, it's working pretty well. There's something about the way you come away from one that kind of does just make people want to play faster, right? That's fine as long as you can control it,
Okay.
right? But what I worry a little bit about is that, just like we've seen before, you will sometimes speed up, and they can't always, keep going with you. Something seemed to happen around measure 5, 6, 7 for you. Any idea what?
Oh, I don't know. For some reason I go bum, 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 and I hear the 8 notes, and then suddenly I'm like, where the fuck that's happening?
Okay, so
I'm not
here,
sure
so
what.
here's the composite, right?
Okay.
Do it one more time.
You want to do the whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah, see, you're already starting to speed up. Establish your.
I was counting it, and I heard myself speed up while I was counting it, and I was like, well, we made it, folks.
Yeah. So the reason your accelerando is working really well here is that your descent starts just a little early in general, right? So when you're conducting an accelerando, that's fantastic. When you're not conducting an accelerando, it's a big problem.
Okay.
Okay. So when you are establishing the tempo, your descent has to be a little bit later. But then you can let that roll when you start the accelerando.
Okay.
Good. Everybody go to New World Symphony really quickly. So this